Change is hard, whether we're talking about getting in shape, upgrading your mindset, or learning a new skill. Sometimes it feels like a full-time job trying to deal with the stress, keep our thoughts in line, and just stay motivated. So how do you keep it all together? What secret weapon do great men from Warren Buffett to FSU superstar and neurosurgeon Myron Rolle use on their journey to greatness? It may sound a little silly, but the secret weapon great men almost all have in common is journaling. That's right. Your secret weapon to getting the life you want comes as cheap as the price of 99 cents per notebook from CVS. The trick is knowing how to use such a simple tool to make massive changes in your life and become more productive. At the end of this video, I'll tell you how I learned about journaling from one of the richest men in Atlanta, a suite at a Hawks game. But for now, let's get into why a journal is your unknown secret weapon. Benefit number 1. Emotional awareness. One of the top benefits of keeping a journal is that it gives you a safe space to explore your thoughts in a way that will let you declutter your mind, reduce stress, and sharpen your focus. If you were seriously thinking about transforming your life, it probably means that you aren't quite satisfied with your life and where it is headed. That comes with the kinds of stress and self-doubt that can block mental clarity and cloud your mind with negative thoughts. One way you can deal with this is spending 5 to 10 minutes consistently to dump your thoughts on paper. Writing down your feelings can be a huge relief. It's like taking the weight off your shoulders. Getting your thoughts out of your head and into your journal isn't just about expressing yourself. You can also help put your thoughts into context, get you into a mind space to really start making progress. Studies show that putting your feelings into words can help your brain calm down. One thing I personally dealt with was the consistent feeling of always being behind or late to my goals. Once I really started journaling, it helped me realize 2 things. 1, things were never quite as bad as I felt that day. 2, having the journal helped me spot patterns when it came to what events were triggering certain feelings. It even helped me realize that I needed to distance myself from a longtime friend who I loved like a brother. I always felt terrible after hanging out with the guy. He was a good guy. He was constantly negative. Couldn't wait to point out how hard anything I wanted to try would be and how unfair life was. Without taking the time to keep track of my thoughts, who knows how long it would have taken me to notice how bad of an impact my friend was unintentionally having on me. Benefit number 2, memory booster. Journaling isn't just venting. It's a serious tool for achieving your goals. I found that there are 2 main problems in becoming who we want to be. Number 1, knowing what to do next. And 2, finding the motivation to do it every day. Starting off with the first point, we are bombarded with all sorts of information every day. Whether it's YouTube videos, something we read in a book, or a random conversation from a buddy's older brother. It seems like there is no end to the things we can be doing. It's almost too much to remember. If we can't remember it, then we can't do it. Journals are a clutch for keeping track of things that are important on paper, so we don't have to try to remember it all at once. On top of that, science confirms that the simple act of writing things down makes us more likely to remember them. The more you talk about something, the more you're likely to remember it. And that's what journaling does. It gives your brain a boost, and it helps your brain lock it in. It's not just about remembering facts and figures. Journaling also helps you remember how you felt about something, like that time you crushed a big project, or that heart-wrenching moment with a friend. Putting it down on paper helps you relive the feeling, which makes it stick in your brain even more. It's like creating a mental time capsule. Benefit number 3, motivation. Journals can be a game changer for taking you deep into knowing who you are and what you want to become. When you write down your goals, you're putting them out there in the universe. Basically, you're manifesting them, and that makes them feel more real, and it gives you something to work towards. Plus, tracking your progress is super motivating. It's like seeing yourself level up in a video game, but in real life. It's a bit childish, but the happy hormones that are triggered are very real. Honestly, sometimes you get stuck on a problem and just can't figure out how to get over something. In that case, sometimes writing it down can help you figure out why. By writing down what you've accomplished or not, you can identify patterns and make adjustments. Your journey will become all the wisdom you'll need in life. and you can see your patterns, you've basically cracked the matrix. Benefit number 4, discipline. The best definition I have ever heard for discipline is that it's doing what you would have done when you were most motivated. But how can you know if you're hitting that if you aren't keeping track of what you're doing when you're most motivated? Your journal is a place for you to track those mornings you hop out of bed, get straight into your day, and those mornings when you lay in the bed for an hour after your alarm goes off, dreading getting started. Keeping a journal also lets you exercise and build discipline. Like any other medicine, you need to take it constantly for it to be effective. You need to consistently journal for it to work. You don't get results overnight. You need to show up consistently. Making journaling a daily routine is a small win every day that adds up to a big victory. Think of it as training your brain muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. To stay consistent, find a time of day that works for you. Maybe it's the first thing in the morning to set the tone for the day. Or maybe it's before bed to reflect on your day. Whatever works, stick with it. Remember, small steps lead to big changes. So grab that pen and paper, open that app, and start building your journaling habit. It's easier. Journaling can just be writing down your thoughts in the Notes app. Benefit number 5. When you remember everything, you remember who did you wrong and who did you right. If you're someone who has trouble remembering when someone does you wrong because you simply forget what they did, pick up the journal. When you're in tune with yourself, you're better equipped to understand and connect with others. Basically, when you write about big emotional moments, you'll start to see who was there for you when you needed them and who left. Slowly, it'll release patterns about not just you, but also others. If you notice that one particular friend is constantly hurting you, you know what to do. Drop them. Plus, you'll finally start to talk like a mature man. By journaling about your feelings, you're less likely to take your mood swings out on your friends or partner. You can identify patterns in your behavior and work on improving them. Plus, when you articulate your needs and feelings, it makes it easier to communicate with others. It's a cheat code to maturity, if you ask me. Benefit number 6, organization. With so much going on, it's easy to get lost in the details of the day. Keeping a journal of what you want to accomplish, what you need to get there, and running a to-do list is a great way to show up organized in the world. If you are organized, you are dependable, and being dependable will open up a world of new opportunities for you. Another bonus is that putting your thoughts on paper allows you to start drawing connections and seeing insight that you otherwise would have missed. While one part of the work we do is around looks, the other part is on driving as much value in your life as possible. Being a source of insight is one key way to do that. At the beginning of this video, I mentioned that a millionaire real estate developer in Atlanta introduced me to journaling. A couple months after, I moved to Georgia to law school. One of my frat brothers invited me to a Hawks game with one of his mentors from Morehouse. The guy was a lawyer in his early 40s who owned a law firm, but spent most of his time on real estate projects in Atlanta, Miami, and Charlotte. At some point, I asked him about how he could build a law firm, do real estate, and be super involved in the community. He sort of chuckled, then reached into his bag and pulled out a black notebook and flipped me through a couple of pages. On the inside cover, he'd written out his goals, how many properties he wanted to build, businesses he wanted to buy, wanting to be on the board of trustees of his alma mater. The next few pages were a running to-do list, written in different color ink, half crossed out. The last thing he did was flip to the middle of the notebook, and he had his notes and thoughts for the day. He'd written out who he met with, what they talked about, what his next steps were for each meeting. I forget most of the rest of what we talked about that night, but I do remember that he told me everything important in his life went into his notebook, so he never dropped the ball on anything. A couple days later, I was at Barnes & Noble buying my first Moleskine notebook and started journaling myself. If you want to get started with your own journaling practice, it doesn't matter if you grab a Moleskine notebook like I did. Use a 99-cent marble notebook from a drugstore, or do something more structured like the Mind Journal. Just get started. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful at all, go ahead and give us a like. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you get your weekly dose of guidance. Remember, with each video you watch and every action you take, you bring yourself closer to the version you've always imagined to be.